Come on, please. Yes!
You heard that first.
Did this actually say Melbourne? And then you made yourself
sold the
favourites.
bag.
I've never been more happy about being right about something.
I make plenty of miscounts. There's some sort of hatred towards the enemy.
666, you know that, man. Never
Really
go the early
man.
crow.
The real
Darts down under, please.
surely.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is episode number 69 of the 9 Hour Podcast, your one-stop shop for talking tungsten. On today's episode, Jonny Clayton is the man in New Zealand as he gets the better of his fellow Welshman, Gerwyn Price, in the final. Lots been happening in Australian darts. Big week for Raymond Smith, Adam Leek, as well as the ADA over recent times as we gear towards the Trans-Tasman Championship and the ANZ Premier League. We'll talk about that. And the big upcoming name that you have to look out for in darts at the moment is Kaya Basal, because he just wins wherever he's playing at the moment, and I'm looking forward to talk about him in the Future Star segment. My name's Lorenzo Hayes. Josh Dahini is there alongside me in our boxes online this week. How are you, Josh?
Very well. Good afternoon. It couldn't be better.
Yes.
Very good at the moment.
It's been about 3 weeks or roughly that. We haven't done an episode since this month really at all.
Yeah, crazy.
As the way it's lined up. So we've taken a little bit of a hiatus, but we're refreshed. We're ready to go for this back half of the year, post-World Match Play now. And it's an exciting time for people like you and I, because we actually get to watch darts sort of in a prime time slot.
Yes, we
maybe
do.
You're working and you're at other places, or maybe you don't see all of it live. But darts has come down under for the New Zealand and Australian Darts Masters. New Zealand is done, and Australia's coming up this week, Josh. It's exciting to have darts in this time slot for us. I know it's annoying for everyone else on the other side of the world, which is the main market, but for us, this is great.
Yeah, we've been waiting for a while because, it happens around the August time every year. So it is a long wait from when the World Championships are done till August, but it's finally here. New Zealand was fantastic, and obviously in Wollongong this weekend, which will also be good. Happy days.
It's happy days, and we saw some great stuff along the way. It was quite the busy weekend of darts, and really last couple of weeks. So we're really going to recap everything that's happened in August so far. But let's start with your darts archive match from last episode, Josh.
Yeah, so this happened, like 3-4 weeks ago? It's been that long. So it was the Darts Australia Pacific Masters that happened about a month ago, which is a fantastic WDF gold event, rather. It was Blake Hatchett who played Shane O'Brien. Semi-final clash. It was a very good standard, 85-90, very watchable darts, and Hatchett won in a last leg this time. I'll speak about him later in the episode. They've got something cool to say about him as well, but great game.
Great stuff. The best story this week was Jonny Clayton and his win in New Zealand at the New Zealand Darts Masters. It started slowly. He needed a last leg, decided to get past Puha in that opening encounter, but after that, we saw a very good version of Jonny Clayton. Perhaps not the best version of Jonny Clayton, but it was a strong performance. 6-3 against Gian van Veen, 7-2 against James Wade, very, very good, and then an 8-4 win against Gerwyn Price, aforementioned, in the final. It was between those two, Welshman Wheelie and perhaps an Aussie that we'll speak about in a moment, but who were the kind of really the standout players. But yeah, it's interesting. Jonny Clayton has been very good this year. He was very good in the Premier League, as we know, but he hadn't won a title of any sort so far this year. So he's finally picked up one. It's a non-ranking one. It doesn't help him get into the Grand Slam of darts or anything like that. But it feels richly deserved that he would finally get a hand on a trophy of some kind, and this one being in front of the TV cameras as well. So it feels like it's been a long time coming for Jonny this year.
No, 100%. Well, obviously had a great Premier League campaign and was very, very close to winning it, but he's just gone on through then and played very well. Yeah, tested very early by Puha, but besides that, he got it relatively comfortably. So yeah, very well deserved for him. Picked up £30,000. Not too bad at all.
Not too bad at all, plus the appearance fee and everything that would have come with being invited onto the World Series as a PDC superstar.
Yes, of course.
I feel like some of the numbers, especially for Jonny, didn't really reflect necessarily how well he was playing. So in the final average is 94.96, but he was very dominant in that match, and he didn't give Joe Price basically any opportunities, which is why prices end up with a higher average because it's much the scoring average. But then we didn't put in any crazy moments in the Canva here, but we kind of just forgot to do that. But the craziest moment of the last really 2.5 weeks of darts for me was when Jonny Clayton needed the bullseye to win the title, and he went for big 18 with Gerwyn Price on 56. Now this was weird for several reasons. One, Gerwyn Price was on a single to double, but two, Jonny Clayton never lays up ever. He always goes for the ball on 1-2-1s and these combinations. It doesn't matter if the opponent's on 306. Like he takes out. That's just the way he plays. So and that's what we expect. So the fact that he just went, oh yeah, if I hit big 18, I'd leave 32. It was so bizarre. And then he actually won the tournament on the bullseye as well, ironically. And he turned around to go, like, yeah, see, that's what I could do when I actually go for it. It was
beyond bizarre.
It was. Yeah, and it was probably good that the game ended where it did, because if it went any longer, like into a 13th leg or more, it could have got really, really stupid. But because he was very dominant in the early stages and he deserved that win, that match, Jonny Clayton. And then all of a sudden, he made it difficult for himself. He blew match darts. He did whatever he did with that throwing that dart into the single 18. So I don't feel like that the numbers truly reflected how well Jonny played. I thought it was a very steady Clayton performance and a very good performance in the final. It was just the faffage at the end, which brought the average and the numbers down.
No, spot on. It was just very solid, I guess you could say, with a few dumps. But no, overall, very, very good. Started slow in that first game, but he just picked up after that. So very good weekend for him, no doubt.
What did you make of the tournament as a whole? I thought it was actually quite good and quite entertaining. There was, it's been a while, Josh, but I'm going to reference them now. The Online Darts Live Lounge are there, and they were talking about how it was a bit with Phil Vars and Dan Simpson. They were talking about how disappointing the tournament was. Now we didn't see 100 average. We had a few, someone like Kaya Basal just wasn't at it at all.
68 average, yeah.
But I thought with a couple of upsets, with a few last leg deciders, I know we didn't get those big numbers, but I thought it was still quite entertaining. And overall, now it's probably depends on what side you're on. If you're waking up early at like 5 in the morning, it probably wasn't worth that. But if you're watching it in prime time and you're just reveling in the fact that you get darts on your side of the world for a couple of weeks, then you're richly enjoying it. Someone like Jonny Tartar didn't play up to the levels of that we hope and really expect from him as well. Only an 84.85 average on the one leg against Gian van Veen in that first round match. So that was another standout there. But what was your making of the tournament? I thought it was a pretty good advertisement for darts, to be honest, especially given that we didn't have the Lokes or Van Gogh.
Yeah, well, that's the main thing. We didn't have the superstars as such. Littler couldn't be bothered rocking up Humphreys as well, which is fair enough given they're number 1 and 2 in the world respectively. But overall, I thought it was really good. I didn't see much that criticism. You talk about the big numbers. Well, Raymond Smith was 99.81, so he was just a tick under the ton average. But overall, especially the Aussies, I'm very proud of what they brought. We'll speak about Leeky and Raymond Smith in a minute. But overall, I was pretty impressed. Yeah, it wasn't, as I said, the record 105, 110 averages, but they were all just solid numbers across the board. And Aussie point of view, yeah, very happy. Let's go into those now, hey?
Yeah, let's just jump straight into that while we're on it. Nothing wrong with we do have the biggest flop, but it's not Stephen Bunting because he didn't play poorly at all. It's just Raymond Smith with just a bit better in that 6-2 win. But before that, we had a mad game. And again, this is the darts doesn't need to be 110 versus 105 for it to be entertaining or
absolutely
dramatic.
Not.
You just need that's in other sports you might need like really high scoring, that sort of thing, like an NFL game which is just 3 field goals versus 1 touchdown is probably a bit of a snooze fest, but a lower standard darts game can still be wildly entertaining, and we got that with Ross Smith, Adam Leek. So
what a game. Wow,
what a match that was. So I'm just trying to remember, I should have written this down in my notes. It was, I think Smith was up like 4-1 or something in the sort of mid stage of that game, and then Leek won a few legs in a row to get it back to
4-1. I'm pretty sure.
Go to the last leg decider, and Ross Smith blows his chance. We'll talk a bit about. I'll leave Ross Smith for a second. We'll come back to him because we have a segment for him. But in terms of Adam Leek, this is a big win for him to show that that he can win on. We know he's probably a better stage player than he is as a floor player. We've said that a few times on this show.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
And winning, but winning on the stage, winning in front on debut against a top 16 player as Ross Smith was hugely good for him. So, what was your take on that Leek performance? Firstly, before we get to Raymond?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, very solid numbers as well on the high 80s. But look at that photo, just the emotion after it. You could tell he just trying to G himself up, especially when he was on that fight back from 4-1 down. But very proud. We'll talk about Smith in a moment, but had some good visits at quality moments that he needed to, because if he had run a few visits that were dry, Ross could have easily pounced on it. But no, it was just a gritty Australian win, that's what it was. Yeah, very happy for him.
What was your take on him really giving it and like hitting 2 trebles and then turning around to the crowd and getting them going?
Well, I mean, that's sort of his personality, isn't it? So
it is what it is. He probably shouldn't have done it.
Brings to the table.
Not because it was he probably shouldn't have done it, not necessarily because it was unsporting, but because it just wasn't working. Because every time he turned around and then he hit a single 5 or it was only 140 or something. But look, we can if he just I feel like he needs to just sometimes settle down and in a match, because you can tell he gets a little bit nervy. But once he settles down and gets into a rhythm, it's pretty good. He's got a pretty good action and
very solid.
He's clearly a quality player. He's got a lot of work to do to ensure that he can keep his card at the end of next season. But we see this a lot of times with players. They might struggle in their first year, but then have a really solid second year once they've acclimatized to playing on the Pro Tour. Now, unfortunately, sometimes for them, they get into a situation where they had way too much to do in their second year, so they weren't able to get into the top 64. That may end up being what it is for Leek. We shall see. But he's taken the big gamble of going overseas and going to Q-School and winning his card. So he's given himself that opportunity. Raymond Smith, though, this is someone who we'd love to see on the Pro Tour, and he would be a huge addition if we were able to. There are a few players in the show, Josh, non-tour card holders, where if we were able to get them on the tour at the same time, it would just be Pro Tours would just be so fascinating, even more than they are already. Best individual match 3-dot average of the 2 days, the 99.81 for Raymond Smith against Stephen Bunting, and then able to get the job done against Adam Leek, and still challenged Goan Price at times. I think he missed opportunities to win that opening leg, and then after that, that set the tone for unfortunately 7-2 loss for Raymond Smith. But when we see this version of Raymond Smith, who was above the 90s with his 3-dot average the whole way through, it's just very, very exciting. And to think even like he's not even currently top of the ADA. That's Brody Klinge, who we'll see this week in Wollongong. So I think that really shows now the better standard that we're now seeing, thanks to the work that the ADA has done in sort of bringing everybody on Australian darts back onto the same page after there was a bit of divisiveness in these waters over the last sort of 5 years or so. But Raymond Smith was just the clear standout from the Oceanic representatives getting to that semi-final, and we know, having watched him in the ADA and the ANZ Premier League, what he's able to do. It's very exciting to see him do it in a PDC tournament as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, well, you just mentioned about the ADA. They've been doing some great stuff. They've got more tournaments we'll talk about in a sec. But for Raymond Smith, we know how good this guy is. He's number 2 on the ADA for a reason. He's accumulated tons of prize money, and his throw is just, it's almost like Bo Greaves, like in just how solid it is. It's just like such a repetitive action. I went to dartboard a few weeks ago with Shane, and one of the owners there, I think his name's Kay something, he said that Raymond Smith used to just get a ping pong ball, bucket like 5 minutes away, and would just do this for hours. Just that. So that just shows how good of a rhythm he can get himself in, and just have such a steady action that will lead to good results. And obviously did. Again, Bunting, he didn't do anything wrong, really. Bunting was just like, Smith was just that much better on the doubles as well when it came to the crunch time. So, but very happy for him. And he is the shining light for Aussie darts at the moment, no doubt.
If this might be your first listen to the 9 Dart podcast, in which case, welcome. For those of you, because everyone else will know, but if this is your first time, Stephen Bunting is my favourite player. And when I saw he was playing Raymond Smith, I knew that he was probably not going to. I actually was going to probably tip against him if you asked me immediately. I was immediately like, that's the one draw I didn't want for Stephen, because Raymond Smith has just been that well at the moment, and Bunting hasn't had the best of time on the World Series. He's only beaten the local players so far. in these two
True.
events. Still got one event to go, obviously, coming up this weekend. But yeah, nothing wrong with Stephen's performance. 99.3 average. It was just Raymond Smith was just too good in that particular encounter. Just before we move to, I want to talk about Ross Smith, but just before we move off that, it had been for the last few years in Australia, New Zealand, the local representatives really didn't give us much of anything. They didn't win any matches, and often they weren't particularly close. But now we saw. So let's just count this one. We had two win. We had a 6-5 with Puha going down, and 6-4s with Whitlock and Ben Robb as well. There was still, with Kay DeMille again, just a 68 with that average against James Wade, just basically gave Wade a bye into the second round. But
yeah,
outside of that, really, we had plenty of strong performances, and it's good to see again that this part of the world on the World Series is now getting back to competitive, which is where it was for a great amount of time. And then the CDC and then the Asian Tour really overtook Australia and New Zealand. But now we're seeing competitive things again, and it will be interesting to see because it was mostly the New Zealand contingent, obviously, in New Zealand. Now I'm going to see mostly the Australian contingent. What are they going to be able to do, and will they be able to carry on what we saw at the New Zealand Darts Masters as well?
Yeah, well, the standard of Aussie darts is just getting better and better at the moment. So if you compare our nation or Oceania in general to, the sort of Asian tour side or CDC, whatever it may be, it's definitely getting better across the board, which is fantastic. And you do want it to be competitive. So, we've had like the Baltic tour and stuff, which have been like some really shocking games. But now, there's some really close games there, and it's only going to get better. So really, really pleasing stuff.
Yes, so let's get to Ross Smith. He missed 6-match darts in that game against Adam Leek, which he won. The thing for Ross Smith here in particular is because he doesn't get many of these opportunities. It's a World Series debut, and when you're entrusted with these sort of opportunities, you feel like you really need to take these opportunities to show why you should be invited to more of these events and that sort of thing. Because at the moment, players like Adam Leek and Raymond Smith are in the World Series of Darts finals as a result of getting a win. At the moment, Ross Smith isn't. So that this was a big opportunity to do something really well in these couple of weeks. And the first opportunity has gone a begging, unfortunately, for Smudger.
It has, yeah. Well, it wasn't too bad, but just again, you got to hit the outer ring. You could score as well as you want, but if you're not hitting your doubles, you can't win. So he was very frustrated at the end, and he put the darts away when Leek came back to pin that double. So he'd be fuming with himself, I reckon, when he come back to the hotel room. He'd just be going, "Need to get back on the board, just throw doubles for an hour, go around to my favorite tops, 16s, 18s, 10s, whatever it is, and just really pin those, because in those crucial moments when, again, you want to prove to yourself that you can compete on the big stage and be, wanting to be in the World Series events, and the PDC gives trust in you, you want to show your stuff well. So you'd be disappointed.
Yes, he absolutely would be. One other thing, Damon Heta, he beat Ben Robb and then went down to Gerwyn Price. But there was a passage in that game there, Josh, where we saw the classic Damon Heta. We saw sort of the best version of Damon Heta for sort of that second half of that game against Ben Robb. So that just gave me a little bit of hope that the old spark's still there for Damo. He's been rising and rising throughout his PDC career ever since he won on the World Series. He won that tournament in Brisbane on his 32nd birthday, and now is the first time in his career where he's really had to battle to stay up there. He got himself to the World Match Play. He's still in position to get to the World Grand Prix at the moment, and and a lot of those big events. But it was good to see that there was just that spark of, oh yeah, this is the Damon Heta of old. He will certainly be at the Grand Prix with the position he's currently in. It should be noted. I have a Volcano this week, Josh.
Yes, go for it.
Targeted at Vincent van der Voort.
Go for
great Dutch player, UK Open finalist from that was about 2 decades ago now. I think it was 2007. I saw this in the lead up to the tournament. He was upset that Simon Whitlock was playing. that Sam Whitlock's been quite a regular in the World Series for a while. And I just want to know if Vince Van Voort's been watching any darts outside of Europe, because as we know, Josh, Sam Whitlock is still a big mover, which is what these World Series events are. They are exhibitions, sort of. They're non-ranking. They don't impact qualification for a lot of of these majors outside of the World Series finals itself, which Vince Van Voort did, I think, fairly criticise as a bit of a crapshoot, but that's just the sort of way that the World Series is structured at the moment. And I have an idea to improve it, and we'll get to that later, Josh. But I think you've got to have Sam Whitlock there, not only as a recognisable player, but also he's still basically the number 2 Australian at the moment, because he won the ANZ Premier League last year, and he was consistent throughout the tournament. I mean, he wasn't the night we were there and Joe Comito beat him, but other than that,
no.
For the rest of the tournament, he was very consistent, got to the final the week before finals night, and then won the tournament, and then pushed Connor Scott at the World Championship stage. And as we saw there, he took 4 legs off Josh Rock. So
he did. Right.
Sorry, Simon, it's not. There's no reason with Barry Hearn. It's because Simon Whitlock is still one of not only the most well known, but also one of the better darts players in this side of the world. So that's why he's there, and that's why all these guys are there. It's because they've been given that right by the PDC. For the PDC superstars, they're in that top echelon. They're in the Premier League. They're in the we talk about the tier below, or the next set of players. That's why they get their opportunities, and the local representatives get their opportunities on the basis of what they do relative to everybody else in the region. And at the moment, if you're doing the best 8 players in Australia and New Zealand, you really need Simon Whitlock is still in that category, especially if you exclude Damon Hatcher and put him on the PDC superstar side of things as well. So Simon Whitlock is worthy to be there. I mean, by that, he'll probably also be at the World Series final. So enjoy it, Vincent, because you're going to be seeing a lot more of him in the next few weeks. And of course, he'll be defending his ANZ Premier League title,
which starts just under 2 months away. Get excited. Well, it's actually no. So,
less than a month. 1 month.
Less than a month, actually. Sorry. Well, the Melbourne night, at least, I was more referring to.
Yes, the Melbourne one
overall.
Let me just, I'll just, before I get to my idea to improve the World Series, Josh, let me just take a look and double check those dates. So the 26th of September that's AFL Grand Final Day, isn't it? That is the opening. Yes, so it is.
When Carlton gets there, of course, and wins.
And the 10th of October at Margaret Court Arena is night 3 of the 6 nights, just the 6 nights this year. But we will see darts return to Melbourne, and you and I, in all likelihood, barring a tragedy or anything like that, will be there on that Saturday night. I wonder, is there anything else going on in Melbourne Park? Because I think there was basketball on the night there where John Cain.
There was the NBL series, I'm pretty sure, when the Pelicans came out. Maybe some other team as well. Yeah. So, sorry, maybe say
going on, but if it's in Margaret Court Arena, that says that's kind of right in the heart of that Melbourne Park precinct. It's probably going to be the main thing in town on that night in Melbourne. Right. The World Series is an interesting event at the moment, and I know Barry Hearn's he did an interview with Phil Bars, which I haven't watched, and the one clip I did see, I think was sort of in relation with the World Series about, the best players needing to do their part in order to get invited to these sort of things. I would really like to see, Josh, the sort of only issue, a couple of issues I have with the World Series as an event is we sort of see the same sort of PC superstars a lot, and the World Series of Darts Finals is this. I mean, you basically have to win one game and you're in, and it's all a bit crazy. And as a result, because these guys are playing the very, very best in the PDC, we don't really see a lot of upsets sometimes we don't see some competitive matches. It was good to see some in New Zealand, but sometimes they can be pretty one-sided if the 6th best player in the region is playing the number 1 in the world. It's a bit difficult to see how that how they could even possibly win, even in a short format. So what I would really like to see, Josh, is is an expansion to these tournaments. I think you can get away with a 24 player field for these World Series tour events. You could invite, so you can keep your 8 as the you've got your 8 local guys, and I think you could really seriously bring up to 16 PDC tour card holders. Invite everyone from the Premier League to all of them. And then you literally just work down the order of merit. We'll invite you, invite you, invite you. You might do 8 players. So if Australia and New Zealand is a block, you might take 8 players, 8 tour card holders over there and say, you're going to do both events. you might take another 8 and say, okay, you're only going to do Australia. This 8, you're only going to do New Zealand to make it interesting so you see different plays. But you're also making sure that guys like, Van Veen and Price and Bunting, they'll be there for all those main events that if they choose to show up. And if you see it by the 2-year order of merit, what you would have is you would have a first round where you'd have these 8 local representatives coming in, but they wouldn't be playing as a first up match Van Veen, Price, Bunting, Wade. They would be playing guys further down. Someone like Ross Smith, people like Vessel Nyman would get a go under this sort of system.
Okay.
The guys who are sort of next in line, who probably need that sort of big stage experience if they're going to make a push for the Premier League, especially if the Premier League stays in its current format, though who knows whether that stays or doesn't. we shall wait and see if they do the Premier League for next year. We're still sort of crossing our fingers and toes that something might happen there. But if you could have a first round where you have that next batch, so they get a go, and we get to see some different names, and we also see some more competitive matches, because instead of playing the world number 1, you might be playing the world number 20 as your opening game. And then if you've played them, okay, so well done for that. You've got a bit of momentum, you've got a bit of onstage experience, and now you can take on a big name seed in your next game. And hopefully you'll be able to build some confidence. Maybe you can get through that. It does make it harder for these. I mean, 4 games is pretty difficult for players like Raymond Smith to go all the way through to win a tournament. And now you're saying you're going to win a 5th. But I think that would be a better way. We'd see more names. We'd see a more diverse set of names from the PNC Superstar side of view. We'd have more competitive matches and more likelihood for players from the local representatives to win a game. And thirdly, and most importantly, if you do it that way and enough players come in, enough players win matches, you'll be able to do a World Series darts finals, which is just the top 32 on the World Series order of merit. And you wouldn't need the qualifier, and you wouldn't need the top 4 who are currently aren't in off the main rankings to be invited anyway. So you'd see. You'd be able to basically structure it like we see with the European Championship and the Players' Championship finals. I think that would be a better way to do it. I think there's lots of little advantages there to do it. You can still hold it over 2 days and 3 sessions. You might play an afternoon, an evening session, and then an evening session again with another afternoon session if you want to do something like the North American Championship, say at Madison Square Garden, which I've always enjoyed as an event. So that's my thinking for ways to a way to improve the World Series. I've talked a lot there, Josh. Just say something.
No, it's good. No, you've had a great chat about it. So you're saying you expanded it to 24. That's right. So you have...
for these tour events, they'd be 20. You'd have 24 players. You'd have 16 PDC superstars, I guess, and 8 local guys, which might include a tour card holder of 2 like Adam Leek.
Would you want to maybe cut off more PDC guys and give more local guys a go? So, for example, do you take like the top 6 in the ADA or in the DPNZ, and you have more of those local names who are playing really well on the ADA tour, for example, and still have this bracket of up-and-comer PDC people or who are in that Prem League B thing, as we talk about a lot?
Yeah, that is another option. So you could have like a 12 and 12 maybe, or 14 and 10. But my thinking is the World Series has always been, or sort of the idea of it a lot, is those first round matches of PC representative versus local guys. So that maintains that all the way through. Because if you had a 12 and 12, you might have a situation where we have Ben Robb and Jonny Tata playing each other in the first round, which kind of goes against what we're looking for here in terms of a structure. Now, perhaps it's an option. Perhaps for some tournaments, I mean, you might work your way down and go, well, he doesn't want to go, he doesn't want to go, he doesn't want to go. Do we really want to invite the world number 42? Okay, maybe we need a few more spots. So there might be some tournaments where that is right. It kind of depends on where you want to go. Most will go over to Madison Square Garden in the US, but going over to New Zealand, Australia, long flight in the middle of like the school holidays, maybe some will be a bit more hesitant to go over.
Although I know you've seen, but all those PDC stars are flying like business class or something, so that they're having a good time. So they're going all right. That's true.
That's true. That is true, but it's not a long way to get over. We are a long way away from Europe, Josh. It sometimes just reminds you of that, of just how far away Australia and Europe are from each other. So the reason why I've done the 16 and 8 is just to keep that PC representative versus Oceanic or sort of local representatives through that first and even potentially second round. But it's not about it. It could be done. It could be done. Like a 12 and 12 setup.
Yeah, I think ultimately it just depends on how many people you're willing to bring over. And then obviously affects the prize money situation as well. So
you need to restructure the prize money.
Do you have an uptick in prize money, or same, you just filter it down more to give the guys who make the first or second round some cash as well? I'm not sure, but it's a good idea. I like it actually, because we have had some really dud games in like Bahrain, for example, Saudi Arabia, like some really shocking ones. But that does have potential to do that. You know, you give some, maybe again, my idea, which I've sort of extended off, give a few more local guys a go, but then you also give, again, those guys who are next up, if you will, some exposure, some stage experience. It could be really good for them. So I like
that's
it.
sort of the sort of main initiative, is just to see a few different PDC superstars instead of just the same slot of players who play a lot of these World Series events similar. I just want to just give me a thought. I'm going to go to 2026 World Series. I'm just going to bring up the order of merit as quickly as my second here will work. I want to see how many players actually will play every single event. Price, Van Veen, Bunting. That would be it. In terms of playing at least 4, Littler, Humphreys, Clayton, Wade, which is actually not as a substantial list as I thought it was. But we usually see 6 of the guys we're familiar with, and then 2 guys who are the next sort of in line, because Littler and Humphreys didn't want to go to Australia this year. They want to do 2 years on, 1 year off, for coming down to these New Zealand and Australian events. So I think that way you would get some different names, and it would be great for someone like Vessel Nyman is the obvious one. You could absolutely play really well in these sort of tournaments, even from starting from a first round perspective, from first round stage, and it would be great to see him, because he needs those wins on the television to sort of prove his point. But he's up there with the big guys, so this is an opportunity. It's not the highest ranking. They're not ranking events. They're not the highest prestige events, but they would be beneficial for him, I think, to get some big stage experience.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the order of merit as well. Like, how could it be you should have like Gary come in, or
that's the other problem. Gary probably wouldn't do it for.
It would come though.
It would be fun.
Like, if he's not willing to entertain like a Premier League sort of thing, then like like. You could have Dane Noppert, for example, Ryan Searle. We know how good heavy metal is at times. So I'm just looking at maybe even like a Rob Cross. He's in good form here and there. So it's interesting. But I like someone work your way down. Yeah.
Another player who would be a great benefit this sort of thing is Nathan Aspinall, because when he's playing well, he's great television. He's great on the stage. The Mr. Brightside will get everyone up there where he's going.
Of course.
And he would be a sort of different name who could absolutely, we saw him. He was the only player who really pushed Luke Littler at the match play in those matches he played, other than Springer for maybe half a game. So that would be so he would be another one there to sort of add on that list. So when you work down the order, you go, oh yeah, these players can make entertaining matches, but they would also be from the local representatives. You'd much prefer playing Nathan Aspinall, no disrespect, versus Luke Littler or Luke Humphreys. If you get your one opportunity to play and try and win a match on television,
sure.
it would be better to play them, so you get more competitive first round matches. So I just wanted to table that as an interesting idea that I
like it.
I've been sort of thinking about for basically a lot this year, but haven't really had the opportunity to mention it in this show.
No, that's cool. I like it. All right, so we need to move on. Kaya Basal, you're going to talk about him for a moment.
Yes. Firstly, so lots of JDC stuff happening. Firstly, I wanted to mention the JDC Nations Cup. The team event was won by Scotland, 7-5 over England. In terms of a lot of the names you'd be familiar with did win. Mitch Laurie took out the boys singles, as you'd expect.
Who would have thought?
Won by Rebecca Allen. But the player who is really the future star this week and has been lighting up everywhere he's going at the moment is Kaya Basal. And this is what he's been doing on the next slide, because it's not just been the youth tournaments on the WDF side of things, Josh. It's been the seniors as well. So these events were in Croatia. And there was another reason, and we'll get later on in the show, another reason why I'm bringing up Croatia, actually. But this is the stuff that he's doing. One of these matches, I think it was the PSK Masters final there. You see that 5-0 win. I think, I believe it was that match, 113 average in that final, over 5 legs. In whitewash wins. So he's picking up tournament after tournament over the last. This is literally all of this is like in the last 2.5 weeks. He's winning youth tournaments. He's winning senior tournaments. He's got the English flag next to his name there, but my understanding is that he is going to be actually representing Turkey on a PDC side of things,
Cool.
which is interesting because he'll be able to go to the European Q school and any European qualifiers, which will be easier than a UK version. We'd be able to see him at a World Cup of Darts should he win his tour card at any stage. So as representing that nation, so that would be a big moment, and he can sort of be the flag bearer for darts in those countries. So Kaya Basal over the last few weeks has had an extraordinary little passage of play. Some of the numbers he's putting up is incredible, and he's very much. I mean, he's already been in this list, but he's really solidified himself alongside people like Mitch Laurie and Archie Self and Jack Johnson as sort of the top echelon of these junior darts players that you simply have to be watching out for, because at some point they're about to jump on the PDC bandwagon. And I think Littler was obviously the first example of this. I think we're going to see in the next few years a real big shift on the Pro Tour where we see that average age come down. We'd already sort of seen a little bit like the Premier League this year was significantly younger than it was 20 years ago. And the tour as a whole is going to look very different in the next few years, as a lot of these players now who are 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, who are already putting up insane numbers, we expect and we hope we'll be able to transition that firstly onto a development tour and challenge tours, but then in a few years in the Pro Tour. So we're about to see a big shift come through when these youth darts players, following the Luke Littler playbook, makes their way onto the PDC side of things. So look out for that, because that is coming almost without question at this point. Because if it's not one of these guys, it's going to be the next ones in line who are just in behind them at the moment. So big shout out to Kaya Basal for what he is doing. He and Mitch Laurie are doing some incredible things at the JDC. Someone like Mitch Laurie is probably doing better than Luke Littler was when Littler was their age. Doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be better than Littler when they're 19 and 20 versus what Littler's doing right now. Extremely unlikely. But it's
you never know.
These guys on tour, Josh, it's going to be so much fun.
Oh God, yeah, no doubt. No, it's great seeing what the JDC are doing and giving these young boys and girls opportunity to thrive, and it's so good to see. Great work as always.
Right. You actually mentioned earlier in the show, Luke Humphries is the world number 2. He's actually not as of right now, Josh.
I just realized I said it before. I'm like, actually, hang on. Yeah.
I was going to pull you up, but I thought, well, we'll wait a little bit. So as of the end of July, Gian van Veen, because the way the money sort of dropped off the system from 24 months ago, as of right now, Gian van Veen is up to world number 2. Now, as it also stands, by the time we get to the next set of majors, he's currently slated to go back down to world number 3. Now, that might change with European Tour results and other things, and Pro Tour results as well. But as of right now, Gian van Veen is now climbed up to world number 2, the reigning European champion, the only major that Littler hasn't won, and he's not basically a holder of, that's certainly from the ranking point of view, because Van Goen has the World Series finals, doesn't he? European champion, amazing World Championship run, and that great semi-final against Gary Anderson.
What a game.
In terms of last start in hand, there's hardly a better dart player in the world at the moment than last start in hand trying to hit a double than Van Veen. So
he's so clutch at times.
The Giants.
God. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it was to say at the match play when he had to hit crucial darts, and he did. Like he is clutch. Yeah. But no, huge congrats. He is so good. He is such a young star. Obviously in his early phase of his career, struggled with dartitis, obviously overcame that, and now he's playing some of the best darts I've ever seen for a long time. So he's one of my favorite players, probably second in line after Josh Rock. I love seeing this young youth brigade come to Planet Darts, and he's so good. He seems like such a lovely character as well. Do you see his like Instagram posts? He like does like all this touring stuff now, and he's got a great management team. So doing some great stuff. But no, I love him. Very good.
He's a very likable character, and he's done some amazing things on the dartboard and will continue to do so. I know it's hard with Littler dominating at the moment, but in the long run, in many years from now, it'd be hard to imagine that European Championship is the only major he's picked up. It feels like he's still gonna keep on winning big tournaments in the future. So Van Veen up now to world number 2. Big congratulations, new obviously highest ranking on the that he's ever achieved in his career high ranking is what I'm looking for there. Right, Josh, let's get to the Australian Darts Association.
Yes.
A slate of tournaments in Penrith, I'm pretty sure, and they mean interesting, fascinating things for the ANZ Premier League qualification as well. But you can run through the tournaments, and the man who's really had an extraordinary year is Brody Klinge, and we saw that at event 17.
Yeah, absolutely. He continues to be playing some incredible stuff. So he had 2 games over 100, one over 105 against Ben Puna in the top 16. Now, Seamus Lynch, you want to know something about the Darts Down Under community? He is playing in Darts Down Under, and I do know him. He had a 75 average against Kling, but obviously when he's playing 100, he can't be stopped. But I just thought I'd mention that because, you know, these local communities and online communities that I play in, you see some guys who are playing there. So huge congrats to Seamus for putting up, you know, some decent-ish numbers against Brody and playing him. So that's the main one. Joe Comito went to a final as well, which is cool. So he played some great stuff. Tim Pusey, he won event 18. The Magnus, obviously, playing some good stuff. Pretty solid numbers, high 80s, 1 in 96. Joey Comito again making another final. Michael Bajowski won event 19. Jeremy Fagg made a final as well. Tim Pusey made a quarter in that one, and Bajowski had the best game of 96 against Howard Jones. Then Kling made another semi, 91. And then to top it off, Brody Klinge again won in the set play Sunday. He had some good numbers as well, 95, 96, 100. His lowest of the day against Tim Pusey, but he got over the line. So Kling won 2 events. Joe Comito got 2 runners up. Pusey won an event, and Bajowski won an event as well to sum it all up for you. So ADA continues to do great work and lots of prize money on offer and some really good stuff across the board that weekend.
What that means is Brody Klinge has gone back on top of the ADA rankings as well. Raymond Smith 2nd, Tim Pusey now to 3rd, and Joe Comito 4th. They've really had a good last couple of blocks, which have been able to get them into 3rd and 4th. Top 4 definitely will be in the ANZ Premier League. There is the little caveat with this because that will exclude the Trans-Tasman Championship winner. So we've got all the information now for that as we head towards that, which will be next weekend, Josh, up in Sandgate, Queensland.
Yes.
So we'll talk about this now, but there's going to be the main event is Sunday, but we've also got some interesting things happening on the Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, we do. So it's a whole 3-day bonanza of darts. So we have open singles on the Friday, we have open doubles on the Saturday, and then obviously the main one on the Sunday. Top 16 of the ADA, top 16 of the DPNZ side. Here is the lineups. I did make a video on this on our Instagram, but of course, we'll just run it back. So Kling, Smith, Pusey, Comito, Bajowski, the top 5, and also some very good players for the ADA.
Not all necessarily. Some of the players who were in the top 16 clearly weren't able to make it. So
yes,
it's gone down the rankings.
Yeah, absolutely. On the DPNZ side again, Ben, Rob, and Tartar will be there. Cleaver, Puha, yeah, some great names across both the ADA and DPNZ for sure. We have a test match as well, so top 8. I'm pretty sure it is of ADA and DPNZ. We also have reserves as well, so for those who can't make it, so that'll be pretty cool. That's the doubles format on the Saturday, I believe, the test match one. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And then we have the captains as well. So for the men's, it's Bill Aitken. Youth is Declan Bailey, who does some great work as well. He's pretty good, that kid, I've got to say. Not too bad at all. Youth as well. We also have the youth coming along. Kai Smith, Bailey Mars, Tristan Bogner. He continues to perform well. And Mitchell Beswick. On the youth side, Hunter Earls, Decano King, Lavando Deploy, and Jovan Tapuna. Hopefully I said that all correctly. I'm sorry if I didn't. Not the best at pronouncing things, but again, the ADA continue to do great stuff, and that will be definitely one to watch at the Pine Rivers Darts and Sporting Club in Sandgate, Queensland. Lots of prize money up for offer. and obviously ANZ Premier League spots as well, and also a lucky ticket to the World Darts Championships in December. So that'll be huge.
Yeah, so winner gets into the ANZ Premier League automatically, joining Simon Whitlock as well, who's the only other name at the moment that is a lock now. Kling and Smith and Ben Robb and those side of players
Tartar as well,
basically. And but officially, they'll join Simon Whitlock as the official one, and of course a spot at the World Championship as well. So this region has 4 spots at the World Championship, topping the ADA, topping the ANZ Premier League, winning the Trans-Tasman Championship, and winning the ANZ Premier League. Right.
Absolutely.
But we had some WDF events that happened sort of just as we did our most recent episode before this one, Josh.
Yes, so I talked about this a little bit. So we had the Darts Masters, a WDF Bronze event. Again, there was a mix of singles, doubles, team events, but the main one here was the open singles. I talked about Blake Hatchett before, and he booked his spot into his WDF Lakeside debut as he won 7-4 against Joe Comito in the finals, 86 average, 3 maximums, and 11 data and 2 14 datas. So some good stuff. And also Christine Richardson won the women's, and she will also making her WDF debut in November. She hit 2 180s and a brilliant 12 data as she beat Tiana Dorotich 6-3 in the final. So well done to both Blake and Christine on making their debuts in the WDF Worlds.
Now, the Challenge Tour, I think, has been as fascinating as any tour in the world of darts so far this year, Josh. And
oh, God, yeah.
I was actually following this recent block, probably as close as I've ever followed a Challenge Tour block, because one name at the top, and we'll get to it in a moment. It's just getting exciting about what could happen next year. Jesus. Right. Interesting for us. Let's go through these events though, and so events 16 to 20 happened, and here is the man, Derek Coulson. He picked up a Challenge Tour title, and he's currently sitting atop of the Challenge Tour Order of Merit as well.
Yeah, fresh off of the winning the Motor Super Series 15, and again, yeah, he's just playing some great stuff. He was this close to winning his tour card back at Q School last year, and you just think he's gonna be that close to winning it again, but obviously. Sorry, to getting it. But obviously in the Challenge Tour, we know that if you get that top 2, you get that spot. So very, very exciting for him. He played some great stuff. Again, everything in the 90s bar one game. Best game was a 98 average against Kevin Burness, where he won 5-4. So that was the first event of that weekend. David Davies won the 17th event. He played some great stuff as well. 102 average, saved his best till last, 5-1 victory there. We had young Archie Self. I've been loving what this guy's been producing. Played some motors, played a lot of JDC stuff, and now he won a Challenge Tour event. Some really good stuff as well. Wow. Took on the Highlander John Henderson with a 5-1 victory, averaging 101. 98 average in his top 128 class. So he's, again, playing some really good stuff. So great to see from him. And lastly, but not least,
penultimately, there's one more after this, Josh.
Oh, there it is too. Dylan Slevin, he won Challenge Tour 19. Again, some really good stuff. Mid to high 90s across the board. Defeated Tommy Morris 5-1 the final, who we also know Tommy is a very good player on his day.
There was one more. It was Daniel Close who won event 20 as well.
Oh, sorry. Missed it.
Final. You forgot to put the one in. That's okay. Daniel Close also had a very good weekend. So what this means, Josh, is, and this is really the bit I really wanted to get excited about and really talk enthusiastically. So Derek Coulson is currently on top of the Challenge Tour Order of Merit, and he's got a big margin to Joe Hunt in second. In terms of the World Championship race, Joe Hunt also is currently qualified through the Pro Tour Order of Merit, I'm pretty sure. So Daniel Close and Tommy Morris, along with Coulson, are in the World Championship spots as things currently stand. If Derek Coulson can remain in that number 1 spots, he wins a card.
Yeah.
He wins a spot at the World Championship. He also wins a spot at the Grand Slam. Don't forget that as well for the guy on top of the at the top of the Challenge Tour as well. Challenge Tour Dev Tour winners get a spot at the Slam. So this is huge for him if he can just maintain and have another, even half decent last weekend of the Challenge Tour, when that comes up in a few weeks, he will be able to really sort of a little bit what Bo Grief sort of was able to do at the back end of last year, to play in a few events, play in a few tournaments, and then really launch into the Pro Tour with no need to go to Q School at the start of the new season, at the start of the new year. So this is very exciting. I'm very excited to see that Derek Coulson is in that number one spot. He is the best player without a card at the moment, who
No
is
doubt.
also playing in the JDC, I guess. So this is very exciting. And could you imagine if we can somehow find a way to get Raymond Smith and Mitch Laurie and Kaya Basal and Raymond Smith all on the tour at the same time, and just the drama that the players of their ilk are able to would be able to cause, the carnage that could happen in Pro Tour events would be absolutely extraordinary.
Absolutely. No, well, we know how good he is, and again, having all those guys on the tour, that'd be so fun to watch, wouldn't it? But hopefully sometime soon, because we know how good they are, for sure.
It might just all come together nicely, Josh, and that's what we're hoping. But Derek Coulson currently on top of the Challenge Tour Order of Merit and in spot to play in many things going forward. Sakai continues to be entertaining, and he's claimed a hat-trick of titles on the Steel Darts Tour there in Japan. They play a lot of soft tip over there, but steel tip darts is really in a very good spot at the moment in Asia in general. And this is what happened over the week, Josh.
Yeah, he extended his lead at the top of the rankings. He won 18 consecutive matches to clinch a hat-trick of titles. He was in all 4 events. He didn't win the first one, but after that, he was very, very good. He was superb. He only lost one leg in his opening 4 matches. He had a high-quality semi-final, averaged almost 97 to complete a 5-3 victory. So it's very good stuff across the board. He's sort of like Japan's sort of premier player, if you will. He's probably one of the best going at the moment for sure. Again, it's very good stuff. And then the Sealed Tour will conclude next month, as events 9 to 12 will take place in September 22 to 23 in Kanagawa. Hopefully I pronounced that right.
I think that's right. We're going to see now. We've already seen a few with, especially on the CDC, but we're now going to see, this is the time of year, Josh, where players are about to book their tickets into the World Championship, and anytime someone books a spot on those international qualifiers, we'll be speaking about them right here on the Nine Darts podcast, which actually does remind me, Jesus Salate has qualified via the Caribbean and Latin American tour as well. My man, Matthew Edgar, he has had quite the busy week. He was invited to the World Masters, and whoever did that from England Darts needs a raise, because not only did that provide a bit more awareness to that World Masters tournament and World Open weekend, it's really sparked Matthew Edgar to get back into playing, and he's a very good player when he's on. Getting all the way to the final here in this, I'm pretty sure this was a silver event in Croatia, missing 2 match darts at double 16 to take the title as well. So he was a little bit livid from that point of view, but at the moment, through just a few events, he's found himself in a very good position to potentially qualify for Lakeside now, which is something that he wouldn't have expected even a few months ago. So there are still a few more opportunities where, if the diary is right, you really got to listen to his podcast and follow him on his YouTube channel for all the latest updates, because those things change quite rapidly, because he's a very good broadcaster at Modus and on the PDC secondary tours as well. But if he's able to find a few places, he's going to get to WF tournaments. There's options for him to go to either Spain or Iceland, I think, in a few weeks as well. A weekend that he had just sort of left free, and now he could be playing darts and trying to get to the Lakeside World Championship. So he is a story to look out for, because he's an entertainer on the Oki. He's well known off the Oki, having spent a decade on the PDC system, and it looked like last year when he went to Lakeside, he was struggling. It was probably going to be the end of the road. It was going to be the swan song at the end, but he's been able to find and really work really hard, as he's shown on his YouTube channel, to get himself right for these events, and to make a couple of finals. and sort of join the Lakeside race sort of in the middle of it, and he's currently just outside World Championship spot. So it's extraordinary and a brilliant achievement from Matt Edgar. So well done to what he's been able to do so far. And also, I was just looking at a few WF things that were going on, Josh. So shout out to Jensen Walker and Lisa Ashton for winning at the Lincolnshire Open. The Ashton one was interesting because it's her first WF title in about 2 years, a little bit more than 2 years as well. So they were big movers in those events. As a lot of these players try and jostle and get ready to potentially play, if they're not qualifying for Ali Pali, maybe make it to Lakeside. And that's the other thing you got to think with these WDF tournaments, because you can only play in the one World Championship. A lot of these players will have to make decisions of where they go. We saw Raymond Smith famously last year. He locked in the Lakeside World Championship. So a lot of these players will have to make those decisions. They'll probably lean towards the PDC tournament in general, which might open up a few spots for players like Edgar. I don't know if you saw this, Josh. I found this.
No.
The Darts Regulation Authority finally decided to list their case list from 2023 to 2026. So this is publicly available. A few things to note. A lot of players getting pinged for failing to mark, which is, I think, an important thing. And especially these WDF events where you're just sort of standing around for a while, you're wanting to play, but no one's is there to mark the game. So getting fined, 100, 110 pounds. I'm with what Matthew Edgar actually said at one point, that should probably be, a little bit more, that probably should be a bit higher, because those things do get frustrating. It's actually quite an interesting read going through it. You see a lot of failure to mark, a lot of things about social media. So if anyone who's listened to this podcast is interested in playing in DRA events, your social media posts are monitored as well. So you've got to be careful about what you do there. And a lot of confirmation of things that we sort of know. So the Cam Menzies punching the table, that was a 4-month suspended sentence till the 23rd of July 2027, which means if he does anything wrong between the start of that suspended sentence and that date, he gets a 4-month ban. But at the moment, he's free to play, and he got a £2,500 fine as well, which is turned out to actually be probably the thing that he needed, because he's been able to really stay on the straight and narrow this year, and we saw at the World Cup and at the World Match Play the good things he was able to do. So do give that a read. It is interesting. There was a few things in here that make you think, oh yeah, how did that happen? And a few things where you go, I didn't remember that happening, or they were things that sort of happened sort of backstage. So Gary Anderson had a fine for something that happened at the World Match Play. I'm thinking, what was that all about? But it was something that happened backstage. It was actually in the game where he lost to Stephen Bunting. But the best one here, I just had to find it. The funniest one in here, Josh. Raymond van Barnevelde's got a formal warning, so he wasn't necessarily given any punishment. It was just a formal warning for, and this is the quote, failing to report damage caused to hotel room.
Damage caused?
Failing to report damage caused to a hotel room. Apparently, that's a thing you can get done for. So,
did it say what damage it was?
That's all it says, Josh. This is the DRA. They don't go into specifics. They take 3 years to put out, a list of things that happened in 2023. So don't expect anything more on that.
No.
The other interesting one, so I was talking about that comments on social media. So an example of that was at the first Players Championship event that Luke Littler took part in and won. Gerwyn Price failed to complete a match and then made comments on social media about how cold it was in the venue, and he got a £1,000 fine for that. So the main takeaways are
okay for that.
Inappropriate behaviour is in here a lot. Using offensive language is in here a lot. Inappropriate gestures are in here quite a bit. So make sure my battery is running low, Josh. I might have to plug this in a second. But I would say the main takeaway for anyone who is wanting up and comer to play in any DRA tournament, which is more or less everything, be careful on social media, because that gets tracked as well, because that might be not something people might think. Josh, I really need to plug in this computer. So you talk about modus.
Yes, let's do it. So season 15 was underway a couple of weeks ago. Darren Beveridge won the first week, but Scott Campbell, who's been featuring a lot on Modus, but also on the sort of Challenge Tour and affiliate events, won. He won 4-2 against Lee Evans, 95.41 average, 4 out of 6 on the doubles, and 1 maximum as he got the victory there. So he was very good. He continues to be a really, really good player on the tour. This week, Jose de Salsa is making his debut, the special one, as we call it, in
Yes,
week
this
3.
was very exciting when I saw this. I was like, yes, this is what we need. We need a bit more. We've been lacking Jose de Salsa stuff for the last several years, to be honest, on Planet Darts. So we need more of him. He took out a 161, I saw as well. That should have gone in a crazy moment.
Oh, really? I didn't see. I haven't watched any of it. I might go back and watch a couple of his games. So here's the breakdown. Dylan Slevin, who I talked about before, who got a challenge to a victory. He's playing this week. So again, I think these challenge tour and affiliate events are working really well with Modus. You often see guys who will play a week and then play challenge tours or vice versa, which is really good. So that's really good. Next slide, we got the Group A results. De Salza is currently equal on points with Andy Barton's. Just the one leg difference has Andy leading the top of the tree. So that's the lineup. So that's the results after 2 days of action.
Brilliant. I accidentally flipped this, and then I forgot. I've done this again. I forgot to write anything down. So this week's Darts Archive, we're going to the World Series. We're staying this side of the world, but not specifically Australia. I put this in, Josh, because if you watch long enough these sort of darts compilations of great checkouts or miscounts or anything like that, this match inevitably has several moments that routinely pop up. So we really got to put it in here. Phil Taylor, Gary Anderson, 2015. They were in Japan Darts Masters. They were there for a couple of years, but as you can imagine, the environment that we see here in the West for darts doesn't necessarily translate very well to Japan, who like to clap every, when during, or very respectful. The sort of the way they go about it. So this was a great match. Phil Taylor and Gary Anderson played so many great matches, 2014, 2015. When they played each other, there was always something interesting going on. So this is yet another one to add to our darts archive. It's competitive all the way through. We get big finishes. We get a miscount. We get lots going on. So this was a competitive match, goes right down to the wire. So Phil Taylor, Gary Anderson, 2015 Japan Darts Masters. Give that a watch. That was a thriller of a contest on the World Series. The darts returns to Wollongong on the 21st and 22nd of August. Josh, of those Oceanic representatives, who are expecting big things from this week? Brody Klinge was the clear standout for mine as well, and
Yeah,
I imagine they have to be.
Well, he played your man Bunting last year, hit that glorious 161 to get a leg, but
yes,
I really hope he plays well. Obviously, we don't know what the jury is yet. It usually comes out a day or two prior to.
That'll be Thursday night if it was anything like what happened the day before. If there was anything like what we saw in New Zealand. Tim Pusey is another one who should be mentioned just because of how well he's playing, in the last little while, and Joe Comito as well. So they're going to have their chances. We'll see what they're able to do.
Really interesting to see what the draw's like and who plays who. Yeah, because obviously there is some good form. ADA, Joe Comito made 2 finals, Pusey won an event. So very interesting to see how we go against these top echelon of players. So very exciting.
This episode will be made available as an audio only as soon as it comes out, and we have our social media channels there, of course. Well done, Josh. Big show. Should also mention, I saw that that Dom Taylor, speaking of DRA fines, he actually won a tournament now that he's out of his 6-month ban. So that was another thing I saw during the week. Just so much has happened. We shouldn't take this long off episodes, but we're kind of forced to, and we were certainly I was quite busy. So coming up this week, we've got the Australian Darts Masters, we've got World Series events, we have the qualifier for the tour card holder qualifier for the World Series finals as well, and then another block of Pro Tours 27 and 28, all important as we know. Luke Littler might be showing up to those. I think they might be. They're in England, they're in the UK. To see Luke Littler play those sort of tournaments. That would be huge if he was able to rock up to 4 Pro Tours and still qualify for the Players Championship finals.
Well, he said after the match play, if he won it, he'd go. So you best keep his word.
Thank you so much for listening. Well done, Josh. Big show. And we'll be back again to do a 70th. Hard to believe we've done nearly 70 of these next week.
Treble 10 tops.
Yeah, treble 18 double 8, treble 14 double 14. Whatever way you go, we'll see you
There
next
you go.
week.
Perfect. Well done.
This has been the 9 Dart Podcast.